I'm Olivia Turner, 32 years old. If someone told you your own sister would ban you from Thanksgiving dinner because your job wasn't fancy enough for her lawyer friends, would you believe it? That's exactly what happened to me last November, and what followed changed our family forever. My sister, Madison, thought she was protecting her image by keeping her blue-collar HVAC technician sister away from her prestigious colleagues. What she didn't realize was that the same sister she was trying to hide had been secretly paying for her entire legal education, and controlled something far more valuable than she could imagine. Before we get into what happened next, please like and subscribe only if you genuinely enjoy stories like this. And tell me, where are you watching from, and what time is it there? I love reading your comments. Now, let me take you back to that unforgettable Thanksgiving. It all began 3 days before the holiday. Madison called me while I was reviewing commercial HVAC contracts at my office, though she probably imagined I was crawling under someone's sink. "Olivia, about Thursday," she started, her voice edged with tension. "I need to talk to you about dinner." "What about it?" I asked, already sensing trouble. "Well, some colleagues from the firm will be coming. Important people. Partners." She hesitated. "So, about the dress code, Madison," I said, cutting her off gently. "I know how to dress for Thanksgiving dinner." Of course," she replied quickly. "It's just, when they ask what you do, maybe say you're in climate control consulting. It sounds more professional." I felt my stomach tighten. "You mean instead of saying I'm an HVAC technician?" "It's not lying," she said defensively. "You do consult on climate systems, for buildings and such." "Madison, I own a company that—" I know, she interrupted again. "You have your little business. But these people, Olivia, they're from Harrison and Associates. They handle billion-dollar mergers. I just need everything to go perfectly. Robert Harrison himself might come." The name meant nothing to me at the time, though it soon would. "Fine," I said finally, too tired to argue. "Climate control consulting it is." "Thank you." "Oh, and Olivia, maybe wear that navy dress you wore to Cousin Janet's wedding. It looked appropriate." After she hung up, I stared down at the contracts on my desk, 5 new commercial projects, all requiring full HVAC installation. My little business had just closed another $1 million quarter. But to Madison, I'd always be the sister who worked with her hands, the one who chose trade school over law school. I should have known then what was coming. Thanksgiving Day arrived. I got to Madison's house in Westchester 2 hours early to help cook, as promised. Her home, a perfect colonial that screamed successful young attorney, felt more like a stage than a home. "You're wearing jeans," Madison said, instead of hello. "I brought my dress," I replied. "I'm here to help cook, remember?" She glanced nervously toward the front door. "Right. Well, some people are arriving early, maybe change now." As I changed in the guest room, I heard her fluttering around, adjusting table settings, moving flowers, even removing the photo of us at my trade school graduation. By 2 p.m., her colleagues began to arrive. Madison transformed instantly, her laugh a little too musical, her tone overly refined. She introduced me to each guest the same way: "This is my sister, Olivia. She works in the technical sector." Technical sector? Like I was a Silicon Valley coder, not someone who kept their offices heated and cooled. Then Robert Harrison walked in, older, composed, with sharp, observant eyes. When Madison introduced us, he studied me longer than necessary. "Olivia Turner," he repeated. "That name sounds familiar." "Oh, Olivia's a pretty common name," Madison interjected too quickly. "Can I get you a drink, Robert?" But he didn't stop looking at me. His expression shifted. "Turner. Turner Climate Solutions." Madison's face drained of color. That's just a coincidence." My sister does repairs. Small jobs. Residential stuff. I started to correct her, but the look she shot me could have frozen a furnace. Something was about to crack wide open, I could feel it. The real humiliation came during cocktail hour. Madison placed me far from the main group, near the kitchen. But one of the junior associates, Derek, wandered over. "So, technical sector?" he asked kindly. "What kind of tech?" Before I could answer, Madison swooped in. "Olivia works with HVAC systems, heating and cooling." "Oh, like an engineer?" "More like a repair person," Madison said with that fake laugh. "She fixes air conditioners." Derek's polite smile faltered. "Oh. Well, someone has to do it, right?" "Exactly," Madison said too brightly. "Blue-collar work is so essential." The way she said essential, like she was praising a pet for fetching the paper, made my skin burn. "Actually, I began, but Madison cut me off again. "Olivia likes to call her repair jobs a company," she said to Derek, grinning like it was an inside joke. "It's sweet, really. She has big dreams." Derek chuckled awkwardly and drifted away. Madison's smile dropped the moment he turned his back. "What are you doing?" she hissed. "Telling the truth." "The truth doesn't matter right now," she snapped. "These people, they don't understand where we came from." "You mean where you came from?" "I'm not ashamed of it." "Well, maybe you should be." The words hit like a slap. She immediately backtracked, whispering, "I didn't mean that." But we both knew she did. From the doorway, Aunt Carol was watching, silent and stern. Madison grabbed my arm, pulling me into the kitchen. "Listen," she said, checking that no one could hear. "I've worked too hard for this. Do you understand? Robert Harrison doesn't just socialize with junior associates. This dinner could make my career. And I won't risk it because of your work. So I'm supposed to hide in the kitchen all night?" "I want you to be realistic," she said coldly. "You don't fit in that room, Olivia. You know it. I know it. They know it." Her words stung deeper than I expected. But what hurt most was the relief on her face, like she actually believed I'd stay hidden. "I'm not ashamed of what I do, Madison." "Well, I am." She clapped a hand over her mouth, but it was too late. Aunt Carol's voice broke the silence. "Madison, your guests are asking for you." When Madison left, Aunt Carol turned to me, her gaze soft but sharp. "How long are you going to let her treat you like this?" "It's just one dinner." "It's been 7 years of dinners," she said quietly. "Your father would be heartbroken." And she was right. He would have been. But what was about to happen would have broken him even more. Because standing in that kitchen, I remembered the promise I made 7 years earlier, at Dad's hospital bedside. "Take care of your sister," he'd whispered, his voice fading. "She's brilliant, but fragile. She needs someone strong like you." "I will, Dad. I promise." After his funeral, I sold my car, emptied my savings, and created an anonymous education trust for Madison. She thought it was one of Dad's old investments. For 7 years, $3,500 left my account every month, covering tuition, rent, books, everything. I'd expanded my company, worked dangerous industrial jobs, survived sleepless nights, all so she could become the lawyer Dad dreamed she'd be. And now she wanted me to stay hidden because I embarrassed her. "You know she doesn't realize what you've done, right?" Aunt Carol said softly, joining me by the window. I looked at her in surprise. "How did you?" "I helped set up the trust," she said with a knowing smile. "Through my banker friend. Madison has no idea she's debt-free because of you." "It doesn't matter." "It does matter," Aunt Carol said firmly. "Your father asked you to take care of her, Not to let her walk over you. Through the doorway, Madison's laughter rang out, too bright, too forced. Robert Harrison's voice followed, talking about commercial real estate. Sometimes, Aunt Carol murmured, the best way to take care of someone is to let them face the consequences of their own choices. I didn't know it then, but those words were about to come true. Whatever game you think you're playing, Madison, it's not a game. I scanned the table, meeting every guest's gaze. Remember this moment, I said quietly. When someone shows you who they truly are, believe them. Oh, spare us the motivational poster quotes, Madison snapped. Just leave. Gladly. I picked up my coat, but paused. Before I do, Robert, that message I sent earlier, it was to my CFO. As of Monday, we'll be reviewing all company contracts for conflicts of interest. Robert's eyes flickered sharply. He understood immediately, even if Madison didn't. Conflicts of interest? She scoffed. Please. You fix air conditioners, Olivia. Don't pretend you're someone important. Everything has a price, Madison, I said evenly. Even family loyalty. Aunt Carol stood abruptly. I think I'll be going too, she said coldly. But before I do, Madison, you might want to open that envelope. After Olivia leaves, Madison said firmly. I won't have her making a scene. If only she knew, the scene hadn't even begun. At the doorway, I paused and pulled out a smaller, cream-colored envelope embossed with our father's name, Daniel Turner. Actually, Madison, there's one more thing, I said, placing it beside the first. Dad did leave you something after all. Her irritation faltered, curiosity sparking. Dad didn't have anything to leave. Not money, I said. But instructions. Wishes. And he made me executor of something quite specific. Robert leaned forward slightly. He recognized the weight of official paperwork. You're being ridiculous, Madison said, but her hand twitched toward the envelope. Am I? Then open it. Right here. In front of everyone. Unless you're afraid of what's inside. I'm not afraid of you, she hissed. Prove it. The challenge hung in the air. Her colleagues leaned closer, eyes gleaming. Madison ripped the envelope open, tearing through the seal with anger. As she unfolded the papers, her face drained of color. Whitman Family Trust Educational Fund, she whispered. Administrator, Olivia Turner. Keep reading, I said softly. One of the attorneys squinted. Is that a trust document? Madison's hands trembled. This can't be real. Oh, it's real, Aunt Carol said firmly. I notarized it myself. Robert stood halfway. Madison, what is it? But Madison was frozen, staring at the reality that everything she had accomplished stood on a foundation she'd never acknowledged. Then her voice turned sharp. This is fake. You're trying to humiliate me. Every payment to Columbia Law, I said calmly. Every bar exam fee. Every student loan balance that mysteriously vanished. That was me, Madison, for 7 years. You're lying, she shouted, waving the papers. You couldn't possibly afford, because you're just a blue-collar nobody. I let her words hang. You're right. A technician couldn't afford it. But the owner of the largest HVAC company in the state, the one earning over $40 million a year, she could. Gasps rippled around the table. Madison's perfect image cracked. You want to know about your embarrassing sister? I continued, voice steady. While you lived in your ivory tower, I built an empire, 18-hour days, dangerous sites, contracts no one else would touch. Why? Because I promised Dad I'd take care of you. Stop it. Madison hissed. I did. Every semester, $3,500. Your apartment deposit. That bar exam prep course you thought you won in a raffle, that was me too. You're making this up to shame me. No, Madison, I said. The shame is yours. You spent years being embarrassed of where you came from, of Dad, of me, for choosing honest work over appearances. Not everyone's meant for manual labor, she spat. Some people actually use their minds. Robert visibly flinched. You're right, I replied. And some people are meant to be grateful. To have character. To remember their roots. You're none of those. Get out. Madison screamed. Get out of my house. Gladly. But before I go, I pointed to the manila envelope. You might want to check the document marked contract termination notice. Her face froze. Then she tore it open. Paper scattered across the table. Robert picked one up and read it slowly. Madison, this is a service contract. Turner Climate Solutions, exclusive maintenance provider for Harrison and Associates. She went pale. That's your company? Robert nodded grimly. A $5 million annual contract. And it seems she's terminating it. Madison flipped pages frantically. 30 days notice? Conflict of interest clause? What conflict of interest? The one where my sister publicly humiliated me in front of my own clients, I said coldly. That seems like a conflict to me. You can't, I can. And I am. Robert's voice softened. Miss Turner, please, let's talk about this. There's nothing to discuss, I said. Madison made it clear I don't belong in her world. I'm just honoring her wishes. This is blackmail. Madison shrieked. No, I said evenly. It's business, something you of all people should understand. Aunt Carol stood. Madison, without Olivia's help, you still owe Columbia about $50,000. That trust covered everything but your final semester, and I think Olivia's done paying for someone ashamed of her. Madison's voice cracked. You can't do this. My career, my reputation, your career, I said, was built on my money. Your reputation, on lies. You wanted to erase me. Congratulations, you succeeded. Robert rose halfway. Miss Turner, please, but I was already walking away, leaving Madison to face the ruins of everything she'd built on pride and denial. And for the first time I didn't feel small. I felt free. Robert Harrison's expression hardened as he cleared his throat. Madison, is this true? Every word? She couldn't bring herself to speak, just a trembling nod through her tears. Then you haven't only embarrassed yourself tonight, he said icily. You've revealed something far worse, that you lack the integrity, gratitude, and basic decency this firm expects. Madison's head shot up. What are you saying? Your performance review is next month, he replied. And this public display of arrogance and entitlement will be part of it. The final blow came from the very man she'd been desperate to impress. I straightened, my voice steady. The trust fund is officially terminated as of tonight. The HVAC contract will end in 30 days. And Madison, so are we. Don't call. Don't text. Don't come near my office again. I reached into my bag and pulled out a final envelope, the one I'd prayed I'd never have to use. This, I said, handing it to her, is a cessation of support notice. Legally notarized, witnessed, and effective immediately. Her hands shook as she unfolded the document. You're really cutting me off? I'm setting boundaries, I said quietly, with someone who never respected what I gave. But I'll lose everything, my apartment, my car, they're all tied to the trust payments. Then you'll have to do what I did, I said. Earn it. Robert skimmed the document with practiced eyes. This is airtight, he murmured. Your sister knew exactly what she was doing. Of course I did, I replied. I've been running a multi-million-dollar company for 8 years. I didn't get there by being the sister who works with her hands. Madison stumbled to her feet. Please, Olivia. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're not sorry for what you did, I said. You're sorry because you got caught. Because now there are consequences. That's not true, really? Then tell me, when were you planning to thank me? When were you ever going to admit that your entire career exists because I kept my promise to Dad? Silence. That's what I thought. I signed the final document with a sharp flick of my pen. It's done. The trust fund, terminated. The HVAC contract, terminated in 30 days. Our relationship, terminated tonight. You can't just abandon me. I'm not abandoning you, I said evenly. I'm doing what I should have done years ago, letting you stand on your own feet, without being ashamed of the shoulders you climbed on to get there. One of the lawyers whispered, "This is brutal." No, Aunt Carol said firmly. This is justice. Madison spent 7 years living off Olivia's money while acting embarrassed by her. She made her bed. Robert returned the papers to Madison. You should know, he said, without Turner Climate Solutions, our building will shut down for at least a week during the transition. That's millions in lost billable hours. Madison's face went ghost white. That's not my problem anymore, I said, turning toward the door. Good luck explaining that to the senior partners. I'm sure they'll understand why you insulted and humiliated the company's key contractor. Before I reached my car, my phone buzzed. A text from my CFO, contract termination notice will be sent Monday morning. Behind me, I could hear the chaos, doors slamming, engines starting, Madison's grand Thanksgiving dinner dissolving into a disaster. Olivia, wait. Robert jogged after me, breath fogging in the cold night. I paused beside my Tesla, something Madison had never even noticed. This will devastate Madison's career, he said quietly. She still owes Columbia $50,000. Without your support, she'll have to take emergency loans. The firm will review her position after this. That's between you and her, I said flatly. He studied me for a moment. You knew this would happen. You knew I'd be here tonight. I smiled faintly. I had a hunch when she name-dropped you. I've been servicing your HVAC systems for 3 years, Robert. I know your schedule. Madison never cared enough to ask about my work. She could lose her job, he said softly. She should have thought about that before publicly humiliating the person paying her bills. He nodded slowly. For what it's worth, I'm sorry it came to this. Your father would have been proud of what you've built, Olivia, and disappointed in how Madison treated you. Thank you, I said. He hesitated. One more thing, the Hartley Building project. We'd like to discuss it with you directly. Without Madison. I handed him my business card, the real one, with CEO printed beneath my name. Call my office Monday. As I drove off, I saw Madison standing on the porch, frozen in the glow of the lights, watching her future disappear with my taillights. Guests were leaving in silence, her big networking dinner had become her professional funeral. My phone buzzed again, Aunt Carol. Your father would be proud. You kept your promise long enough. It was time to let go. She was right. 7 years of sacrifice, of being diminished, of bankrolling someone ashamed of me, it was finally over. But the real fallout was only beginning. The aftermath. By Monday, my CFO hand-delivered the termination notice to Harrison and Associates. By noon, the senior partners were in emergency session. Losing my company's services in the middle of winter meant chaos. No firm could replace us quickly or affordably. By Tuesday, Madison was called into a closed-door meeting. Robert later told me she'd been reassigned from corporate law to document review, the basement level. She cried, he said simply. Blamed you for ruining her life. And you reminded her? I did, he nodded. She ruined it herself when she forgot where she came from. By Wednesday, Columbia Law's finance office contacted her about the unpaid $50,000. Without the trust's final payment, she had 48 hours to find emergency funds, or risk having her degree withheld. Thursday, the story spread like wildfire through the legal community. Madison Turner, the rising star who humiliated her working-class sister, only to learn that sister was a millionaire CEO who'd funded her entire education. She became a walking cautionary tale. Friday brought an email, 20 paragraphs of apologies and excuses. I didn't reply. The next week, Harrison and Associates shut down for 3 days during the HVAC transition. Millions lost. Clients furious. Madison quietly told to explore other opportunities. 3 weeks later, she was working at a small Queens firm, half the pay, double the commute. Her luxury apartment gone, her BMW returned, her designer wardrobe sold off piece by piece. Meanwhile, my company thrived. The Hartley contract closed, $50 million over 5 years. Robert's glowing recommendation led to 3 more major deals. Aunt Carol told me over coffee, your sister called, begging me to intercede. I told her what your father would have said, respect is earned, not demanded. The family fallout was swift. Everyone learned the truth, that Madison had lived off my money while scorning me for years. Even our mother called from Florida. Is it true, Olivia? Yes, Mom. I paid for everything. I made Dad a promise. She was quiet for a long time. I'm flying up. Madison needs to hear some things from me. That conversation became family legend, 2 hours of hard truths about gratitude and humility. Cousin Tony, the plumber, posted, money doesn't make class. Madison Turner proves you can have a law degree and still have none. It got 300 likes. Madison tried to spin her own version online, claiming I'd ambushed her. Aunt Carol ended that quickly by posting the payment receipts. The most surprising part? The support I got from my employees. My foreman Mike said, you gave that ungrateful girl 300 grand, and she was ashamed of you? Boss, you're worth 10 of her. My office manager, Sarah, added, hope she enjoys the subway. Bet she thinks she's too good for that too. Even some of Madison's former classmates reached out, offering HVAC contracts to my firm. One wrote, anyone who could build what you built while supporting someone like that is exactly who we want to work with. By Christmas, Madison had become the family outcast. At New Year's, she showed up uninvited. The room went silent. People literally turned their backs. She made her choice, Aunt Carol said later. She chose prestige over family. Now she has neither. 6 months later, Turner Climate Solutions had 300 employees and 3 hospital contracts. Business Weekly featured me as the blue-collar CEO who built an empire. Madison was still in Queens, barely scraping by. Then in May, she sent me a long email. Olivia, I've spent 6 months in therapy trying to understand why I became that person. The short answer is pride. I'm sorry, not because I was caught, but because I spent 7 years taking your love, money, and sacrifice and gave you shame in return. I'm working 2 jobs now, and for the first time I understand what dignity really means. You weren't just my sister. You were my hero. I read it 3 times, then replied simply, Madison, I appreciate your apology. I'm glad you're getting help. If you want to change, prove it to yourself. Work hard. Earn your peace. Maybe one day, when you've truly learned to value where you came from, we can have coffee. But that day isn't today. Forgiveness could come later. But respect had to be earned. That Thanksgiving taught me everything, that boundaries aren't cruel, they're necessary. That enabling disrespect helps no one. And that my promise to Dad had an expiration date, the moment Madison forgot her roots. Today, Turner Climate Solutions employs 350 people, most from backgrounds like mine. I make sure every one of them knows there's honor in honest work. Never let anyone make you feel lesser for it. Because forgetting your roots doesn't make you refined, it makes you hollow. And hollow people? They collapse under the weight of their own emptiness. Just ask Madison.